let them get to know you a little bit. But this is Dr. Hazel Martin, and she is from MUSC. She drove up this afternoon, got here, I guess, around noon, so she came up to be with us today. She spoke in a class that I held earlier, and then we went to dinner, and she's with us for this evening's meeting. So, there we go.
We're going to try something real quick. He hasn't arrived yet.
Oh, okay. So, we can get into that cabinet and get the computer on, we'll be in good shape.
So in the old days, when I was a young teacher, I just would have gone to the board and drawn pictures for you, you see. But now we're so connected to PowerPoints and digital images that some of us can't teach like that anymore.
Do you not have a way to get it to talk to the projector?
So I'm going to talk with you about the new curriculum at MUSC. Oh, okay, here we go.
All right, where's my computer geek people? Somebody know how to get this?
I think I can do this.
Okay.
But, well, no, maybe not until you get me into.
Just here, I got one. Stu, all right, come on. They broke in. So if you'll give her PowerPoint and go in there, hopefully. You got the password?
Yeah,
You know how to get past it.
While they work on that, I want to talk with you about the new curriculum and tell you all about it, so you'll know what to expect if you happen to visit MUSC. But I also want to talk with you about our admissions process. So I asked Monique which one first, and she said it would be better to talk about admissions. So you get in first, you know, and then you learn about the curriculum. But then again, maybe learning about the curriculum will determine whether you want to apply to MUSC, but we'll do both of them. The order really doesn't make too much difference.
You, Dr. Hazel Martin, come over here and stand with me.
Okay. All right, I just was going to tell him which one. Yeah, there's a thing that's, yeah. Okay, there you go. Go to Clemson. Okay. And actually, let's just...
While they're doing that...
Let's do this. Let's drag them to the desktop.
Dr. Hazel Martin has been coming up for the last 2 years and presenting at a class that I teach, and also presenting for the evening groups time as we're having this afternoon. So she is on faculty at MUSC. She is in the Department of Pathology. She teaches gross anatomy. So she's on the admissions committee. And she's also the coordinator for the new curriculum that they've come up with. So, Dr. Hazel Martin, what else do they need to know about you?
I'm Associate Dean.
She's Associate, you're right, she's Associate Dean. So she's a very important person in MUSC.
Just busy, not necessarily important.
Busy. No, I mean, she's very personable, and she's very student oriented. She really, she was telling us at dinner that they have 170 students.
174.
174. Every year, that's the number that comes in, and she gets to know every one of them. She gets to know the good, bad, and ugly about them, I think. So, anyway, we're very fortunate to have Dr. Hazel Martin with us, and I'm going to turn it over to her. And like she said, she's going to tell you a little bit about the admissions process, and then also tell you a little bit about the new curriculum. And I think she would be willing at any point in time you have a question. If you want to raise your hand and ask, please feel free to do that. And also at the end, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time for questions and answers. So we'll turn it over to Dr. Hazel Martin. We're certainly glad to have you with us this evening.
Sure. Well, thank you very much, and thank you all for considering MUSC. I'm not the normal person that you see to do the recruiting for MUSC. I come along, but many times we'll have Wanda Taylor, and I'm sure she'll be visiting your campus over the course of the year. She was unable to come this time, but she's the director for admissions. And you must remember that name because she is your best friend in the admissions process. She and the staff in the admissions office will never give you bad advice. They become so invested in each and every student who's applying that, honest to goodness, at times I'll have to say, okay, you just can't love them that much, Wanda. You just can't. We have to be objective on the admissions committee, but they get so attached to all of you. So they always look out for your best interest. So this is her PowerPoint, so you'll have to forgive me if I look to it for more guidance than I normally would, but this is not the talk that I usually do. So one thing that we're especially proud of at MUSC is the diversity that we find in our student body. And this is not something that just happens automatically. It's something we've strived for. And only last year, we received a tremendous award from the AAMC, which is the Association of American Medical Schools, and we won the award for diversity in that we have a more diverse student body than any other medical school in the country at that time. Here's a shocking, shocking statistic. If you take the number of African American men in medical school across the country and you divide that by the number of medical schools there are, do you know what you get? 1.5. 1.5. We just recently graduated a class last year with 11 African American men and probably 18 to 20 African American women. And so when we talk about diversity, we're not just talking about racial or ethnic diversity, we're talking about a student body who has experience in many different areas before they come to medical school. We have photographers, we have musicians, we have authors, and it goes teachers, nurses, pharmacists who are now coming to medical school. When you have that kind of diversity, you have a stronger student body population, and you all do better because of it. So we're especially proud. Our MCAT scores are higher than ever for our entering classes in the last 2 years. So who are we looking for, and what do you have to do? Well, here's another shocker. The Medical University of South Carolina is only one of 2 medical schools in the country that does not have definite requirements for admission in terms of coursework. And you might say, well, what's the sense of that? Well, obviously you have to have a good science background to come to medical school, certainly in order to take MCAT and get the scores you need, but we will let that up to you, how you want to accumulate your science base. And in doing that, we're really following LCME guidelines and American Association of Medical School guidelines, which are encouraging us to bring in people who have perhaps had liberal arts majors or liberal arts backgrounds. It allows you the opportunity to really come in with a broader base with regard to coursework. And we're very pleased. We've had that policy, I think, for over 8 years, and we're very proud of it. We do require that you have at least 90 semester hours of coursework. Now the truth is you don't have to have a degree. I know that sounds a little crazy, and I don't really want to go there because it's only a rare exception where a student would come to medical school before they completed their bachelor's degree. But whether you have it or not, you do have to have 90 semester hours of coursework. There is actually no preference for whether you get a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Arts. As I said, no specific courses are required, but we recommend at least 8 semester hours in biology, chemistry, organic chemistry, and physics. Now, we like to suggest that you also have some biochem, cell biology, and anatomy and physiology. And I would recommend to any of you molecular biologists or molecular geneticists in the crowd, if you do get into medical school, any medical school, and you haven't studied the systems of the body, get yourself the most basic sort of anatomy, physiology book and read it. Because what we're finding is that people truly don't know the organs of the body anymore. There was an article in CNN that said something like only 25% of the people in the country can tell you where their stomach is. Hard for me, an anatomist, to believe that, but we're tending to go for molecules versus structure. So that's the best advice I can give to you. Now, you don't have to have a major. You don't have to be a pre-med major. You can be a music major or whatever. You do have to take MCAT, and there is a cutoff for score in order to get in the door for an interview, and we'll talk about that. We favor South Carolina residents still because we are a state school. Our mission is to provide medical education to the residents of our state and hopefully create physicians who will want to practice in the state. But having said that, I'll also tell you that we are admitting more out-of-state students this past year and in the current year. So our numbers of out-of-state students are going up, as you'll see in the next slide. So the application process, the timeline is this. You submit your MCAS application and your MCAT scores anywhere between June 1st and December 1st. You then submit your secondary application and reference forms between July 1 and January 15th. So at that point, once you've submitted that data, we have your GPA as it stands at the time of your submission, as well as your MCAT scores. And then we begin to invite students for interview through September all the way through early April. That varies. The endpoint varies a little bit based on the number of applicants that we have. Last year was a banner year. We had more applicants than we've ever had before. And it looks like our numbers will be high again this year. Final decisions are made on a rolling basis. So unlike some of the dental schools where everybody waits until December whatever, we make decisions on a monthly basis. We just made decisions on early admission the end of September. We will make decisions on students who have applied not in early admission, but are applying as general applicants. We'll make our first decisions the end of October and thereafter until we are full. The next slide. Of the applications, what does our applicant pool look like? Well, this past year we had in-state students totaling 525 applications, 243 females, 282 males. And that about reflects our current male-female ratio in our class. It's about 48% women, 52%. It goes both ways, just depending on qualifications in any given year, but we're right around 50% for both. We had a record number of out-of-state applicants, a total of 2,142 applicants. A little bit fewer females than males, just with in-states right at 1,000. So we had a grand total of 2,667 applicants. Our class size, we really bring in, well, we'll see the numbers we bring in, but we admitted, I think, about 150 new students. And the next slide. So how does this work? How do you get an interview? Well, we take the MCAT score and we take your GPA, and that gives you a number. There's math involved, and I don't know exactly what the formula is, but that does